You know what's happening today? Welcome to the program, by the way. Friday, October 17th. Welcome to the shoot once again. Zach, I want to get your thoughts on this one. Maybe I'll ask both of our guests on the show today their thoughts on this one. Jaromir Jagr is playing. Kladno is playing tonight. He's playing his first game of the season, which makes 38 seasons of professional hockey. Jaromir Jagr.
38's an insane number because I had the realization Sidney Crosby was playing in his 21st, and I went, that's a lot of hockey.
No.
38.
38. So much of it has been about, keeping Kladno afloat, and we get it, like why he's still doing it. And many have made the point, and I think rightfully so, that Jagr should go down as one of those players that you waive the waiting period for, even though technically he's still playing. Just waive it and put Jagr in. I mean, how many players have had complete careers and gone to the Hall of Fame since Jagr started playing? The list is pretty sizable.
Yeah,
this is pretty sizable. Like, this guy's just going to keep playing. You've heard me say this before. I'm not a big fan of the idea of players, quote unquote, it's an old acting phrase, leaving the stage while they're still clapping. Like, you got to be top of your game, and then you peace out because that's how you get to remember me. Top of the game, boom. Like, Nick Lidstrom's still getting Norris votes and he's peacing out. Like, I like the guys that you have to drag off the ice.
Yeah.
As long as someone's going to hire you to play hockey and you still love doing it, just keep playing until they drag you off the ice. And if there is one player that I really want, because I have all these little ideas and fantasies about how things should begin and end. If there's one player, yeah, I know it's true. I obsess about things like this. If there's one player who I want to see during after his last game, leave his skates at center ice and walk off, it's Jagr.
Yeah,
someone who has that element of showmanship, who would go to center ice, untie his skates, leave him at center ice, walk off, spotlight on the skates, image forever. But
the problem would be he would stop playing. Wet feet, sure, that's the problem. He would stop playing games. He would still be at the arena. Like, he would be there the next morning.
Still be running stairs in his weight vest?
Yeah.
Be back in the gym?
He'll be done in games because he's like, okay, I physically cannot do this part of it anymore. But I'm not leaving. There's
a picture, and I gotta, someone told me it once, I gotta find the old picture. There's a picture, you can find it on Google Images. Like, I'm gonna send people down this rabbit hole all week and try to find this image of a minor league player walking off the ice with his stick over his shoulder and his skates on his stick. And I've been trying to find the backstory to all of it. It's got to be the guy's got a look from the 70s with the feathers and the beard and the whole deal. And I'm trying to find out who that is and what the backstory on that one was. That is the closest I've seen to someone retiring, leaving their skates on the ice and walking off. But this is a player who's and you can tell it's a semi-professional league or a minor league or something like that, walking off the ice with his skates on his stick, leaving the game. But anyway, how do we get into this?
See if I can find it.
5 minutes deep. I've already sent you down a goose chase for some random hockey player from the 70s who's walking off the ice, getting his feet wet. Is that all you got today? Is that all you got today, Marek? That's why I tuned into the sheet today. Some goofy story about minor league hockey players and Jagr suiting up. That is actually a cool story, Jagr in season 38. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. Anyhow, okay, welcome to the program. We have a lot to get to today with someone who I've wanted to have on for a while now, and that's Alison Lukan, analyst for the Seattle Kraken, who are still undefeated in regulation, we should remind everybody. So congratulations on Seattle, as we all predicted. I'm really curious to get Alison's thoughts on Lane Lambert because there's some guys you always wonder, okay, what's going to happen when they get the keys to the car and finally get to drive. Like, he ran shotgun for so long with Barry Trotz as an assistant coach, was a finalist, I believe, for the Anaheim job. He's interviewed for a number of head coaching positions, and he finally gets it here with Seattle. And I know we're 4 games into the Kraken season, but I'm curious about her thoughts on Lane Lambert. She's seen a couple of coaches come and go already with the Seattle Kraken, so looking forward to talking to her about that. I'm not sure what exactly you watched last night. I wonder. But the one game that I really focused on last night was Vancouver and Dallas. We'll talk about that coming up on the program at some point. Dave Pagnotta will stop by. And we'll probably, he had a really good, our daily DFO rundown. We need to have a snappier title for this show, by the way. DFO Rundown Insiders Edition show this week with our fan Gafar. Brian Bartlett, the agent, stopped by. Alex Tuch's one of his guys. Logan Cooley's one of his guys. My personal theory, and I'll share this with Dave, on what's happening with Logan Cooley and Utah right now is, I really do think that Armstrong is trying to set a ceiling for the team with Logan Cooley. Mm-hmm. Like, this is going to be the contract that, okay, this is the one we're setting, boom, and no one's going above it. I don't know where the salary cap is going, but maybe it's a percentage idea. But right now, what he's trying to do is set an internal ceiling with Logan Cooley. I'm curious to see what Dave's thoughts are on that coming up here in a little while on the program. Okay. Coming up on the program, as you all know, the Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. The show is powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. And as I just mentioned, a couple of special guests. We're going to have Dave on. I think the plan is every Friday here on the show. Dave Pagnotta from the Fourth Period and Daily Faceoff Insider as well. So we'll send you into each weekend with some news from Dave. So we'll talk to Dave coming up in a little bit. We'll talk to Alison Lukan, who's going to be joining me here in about 2 minutes. And we'll talk about the Seattle Kraken and their surprising start. Is Vince Dunn back? That's another one we should probably get into. He's had a wonderful start to the season. And there's a couple of other sort of lesser-known players. I do want to get her thought on Berkly Catton and what the plan is there for that first-round draft pick of the Seattle Kraken. We'll talk about Tuch. We'll talk about Cooley with Dave Pagnotta. We will also talk about Mike Matheson of the Montreal Canadiens, now that Lane Hudson is signed, sealed, and delivers for 8 years at a very reasonable price. Thank you very much. What's next for the Montreal Canadiens by way of pen and paper, and the latest going on around the NHL. In the meantime, she is a double threat. She is an analyst for the Seattle Kraken. She is also part of the troika that is the Too Many Men podcast. And normally, Alison Lukan, when I say the Too Many Men podcast, we're referring to Shayna Goldman, who's a regular on this program, who you and I both adore. It is really nice, though, to see your smiling face and talk Seattle and NHL issues with you. And when I say NHL issues, long-winded way here of me to get to my first question. You and I first met when you were working at The Athletic covering the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's when we first started our friendship. Cam Atkinson just called it a career. I'm suspecting, considering that you tweeted about him recently, you were a fan of the player, you were a fan of the person. When I say Cam Atkinson, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, it is a delight to be with you, Jeff. You and Shayna,
Thanks,
two of my
Allison.
Favorite people in the whole world, always.
She's great.
She's awesome. Amazing. No, but Cam Atkinson is also amazing. And it was funny as I was thinking back to Cam and what he did on the ice and off. That was the first story I ever wrote to use numbers to prove a point about a player that I didn't think people were seeing. So he and I kind of aligned. Yeah, but if he doesn't know that, he doesn't care. But if you go back to what he did, he was drafted in the 6th round. He was quote unquote small. And, we all point to, and rightly, because he was such a talent, Johnny Gaudreau, as kind of that revolution of small players. But Cam Atkinson was in there too. And what he did for the Blue Jackets, the passion, the connection he showed for the city, he still lives there, for the team. He's just been phenomenal, a huge part of that sweep of the Tampa Bay Lightning back in the playoffs. And just a special human. He's staying in Columbus. He's built the Battery Academy. That's a youth geared place for kids to learn how to skate and play. His kids are starting to play in Columbus. So I couldn't be more happy for him. He's a class act, and congratulations to him for a career well played.
Yeah, and it's players like Cam Atkinson and others, and you mentioned Johnny Gaudreau, and he's another giant amongst this point. The old saying in hockey, and it's been true forever, and you can make the argument it's true, although in a minor key, mind you, it's still true to this day, and that is a small player has to prove he can play. A big player has to prove that he can't. That still exists. There is still that sort of bias. Like, oh, look, we got this big kid, and we're going to stick with him until he proves that he can't play. And it's the opposite for smaller players. Now, do you find that changing? This is sort of an NHL at large question that we're starting to tilt a little bit more towards the default to larger players.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, we go in trends, right? We see this if a cup team like the Blues wins with, a massive back end, everyone wants size on the defense. And I think there it might still be a little bit more relevant. But it's funny, I was actually having this conversation with Kraken captain Jordan Eberle going into the season, and he was just remarking on how much skill these young players have now. And he's like, if they have skill, size is no longer a barrier. If you can see the skill, if they can elude, if they can evade, if they are quick, the size isn't as important as it used to be. And I think that's exciting. And to give the guy his flowers, I give people like Cam Atkinson flowers for opening eyes to see that can be true.
Jordan Eberle, I remember watching with the Regina, he was one of those guys. He was like those small. I'll tell you a quick funny story about Jordan Eberle. I can remember talking to him at one of the NHL media tours. I think it was Chicago. And we were reminiscing about his first game with the Edmonton Oilers. And it was the Battle of Alberta, Edmonton. You know where I'm going with this one, I can tell you. So it's his first game, and it's that great play where he comes down the wing, and it's a toe drag, and Fire makes a great move and scores on, it would have been Kiprusoff, I think was the goaltender at the time. And we were reminiscing about that, and he goes, yeah, well, here's the difference between then and now. So back then, I want to make that move and dangle everybody. Now, I just come down the wing. I'd probably shoot far pad so I could, create a rebound for the second person on the two. I goes, that's the difference. Back then I would try everything. Now just safe play, shoot for the far pad. I guess it happens to all of them. One more thought on Columbus, and we're gonna get to Seattle here. So here's my one final, because you referenced that Tampa series, which was so massive for the history of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I still maintain, so that first period of game one, it's, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's 3-0 Tampa. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's 3-0, and we're all expecting goalie change. Torts ain't going to put up with this. And he leaves Bobrovsky in. And he turned in one of the great performances of that year's playoffs. I maintain that was the best non-goalie pull I've ever seen. And it led to a sweep. What do you remember from that? And was that the best non-pull? Because I don't think I'm in the mind. We're all thinking, Torts is giving the hook. Bob's sitting after this. Was that the best non-pull you've ever seen?
Well, it was. And it's also funny. Those of us who've been around for a while always laugh because before that series, playoff Bob meant an entirely different thing than it means now in Florida.
That's true.
It was his Achilles heel. He was great in the regular season, and then he falters in the playoffs. And to not pull Bob, and then also what we all laugh at who covered that series is, I think it was ESPN ran with the locker room speech that Torts gave because Torts was incensed. No one was talking about Columbus. Everyone was talking about Tampa. No one was giving Columbus even a shred of consideration. And he was so fired up by that. He gives that amazing, quote unquote, speech to start the game.
Yep.
But that's when they came out flat. Everyone thinks the speech happened between period 1 and 2. It didn't. It happened before the game. So that's something we like to tease Torts about to this day.
So he went Herbie early. Never go Herbie early. He went Herbie early on that. Should have saved that one for the first, but he used up the Herbie in the pregame, and he had nothing left. And just cross your fingers and throw salt over your shoulder for Bob. And that's a great point, by the way, about the reputation of playoff Bob, how things have changed. And now he's going to the Hall of Fame. If he doesn't make that breakaway save on Brad Marchand, he might be traded. Now we're talking about Bob going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's fascinating, eh? Just tiny little things. Okay. Hey, don't look now, but the Kraken haven't lost in regulation. Have a look at the Seattle Kraken now, and a couple of things come to mind. One, Joey Daccord, and I remember watching Joey Daccord play for the Brampton Beasts down the street here in the ECHL, and when you see that, Alison, you say to yourself, okay, maybe is it time to quit hockey and grow up? Maybe is it is it time to stop being a little boy and playing hockey? Now it's time to grow up. We're all thrilled for Joey Daccord, and he's been fantastic. But I wanted to ask you about Lane Lambert and what you've noticed so far in Lane Lambert. We've seen him ride shotgun with coaches for years, most notably Barry Trotz. It's early, but what have you noticed so far?
Yeah, it's early, as you say, but in talking to Lane, I think Lane is the exact energy and mind that this group needs. He is a player's coach by his own admission. He takes time to get to know these guys, to connect with these guys authentically, but he's also going to hold them accountable. I mean, we watched him day one of training camp. If a drill wasn't going right, it didn't matter if it was Jordan Eberle or Berkly Catton or Philip Grubauer, the drill was stopping. And they were going to work until they got the drill correct. And I think that what we're hearing from the room is that is what this specific group of guys craved and needed. They are so genuinely enthusiastic about accountability, details, being aggressive, playing with energy. They love what he's bringing to the room. And again, it's early, but they're getting results, right? And so that is reinforcing what he's asking them to do. And I think the other thing that has been really impressive to me, I had the opportunity to talk with him in the offseason about how he thinks about the game. And I really like his blend of respect for the game, but also wanting to advance the game. He gave a great answer to an interview our Piper Shaw did with him on the road about the game has changed. What do you see? And, a lot of times you ask an old hockey guy that and they go, oh, back in the day. And Lane said, I think it's better. Lane was like, I think this is great. And, he loves an aggressive penalty kill, which, I love my power kill. He loves activating from the back end. He loves an active goaltender like Joey Daccord. So I really appreciate the melding of strategic thinking he's bringing right now as well.
Who's this Berkly Catton fella that you mentioned? I watch Seattle Kraken games. I don't see this. Who's this Berkly Catton fella, and when might we see him, Alison?
Well, Jason Botterill is certainly not telling me when we might see him, nor is Lane Lambert. But, I think that this, we all know, right, this CHL rule, which fortunately goes away next year, in my opinion, really hamstrings the teams. We'll see when he might get a look on NHL ice, but you watch him in drills, you watch him in practice, he's got the tools. And people I talk to, they say, this is a guy who's going to be a difference maker when he locks it down.
His shot is insane, Alice. You know this.
Insane.
You're right there. His shot is ridiculous.
And, I see him too improving. Like last year when we saw him, he was used to just being fast and shooting well. And this year he came into camp with a better ability to evade hits because, again, he is quote unquote smaller in stature and protect the puck to get it where he needs to be. His preseason, some great moments. Also some moments where you're like, that's a learning moment for you. But, he's traveling with the team. He's working with development coach Justin Rye, who's just an excellent resource for him. And, Shane Wright is proving to be coming along at the right timetable. So I'm going to be the last person to question when the Kraken decide to put him into a game.
It's interesting you mentioned, playing with speed and shooting. And when you're playing junior hockey, when you're playing college, I was on Sekeres and Price today and I was making this point about Adam Fantilli, and I really believe this. It wasn't because he came into the NHL just blaze. How come the results not there? And it's like, well, if you play everything the same speed, you become a pretty easy read fast. And it wasn't until Adam Fantilli learned to change things up and not play every single situation at full speed that you start to become a more dynamic player. And you look at Fantilli's second half last year, 5-on-5 was outstanding, great points, and he's not getting a sniff for the power play. But that's interesting they mentioned that with Berkly Catton. To me, it's one of the touchstones for when you see a player starting to develop and starting to learn how to play the NHL, when they stop trying to play everything at I can understand the instinct. Yeah. Oh man, it's the NHL, everything's so fast. This is what I have to do. But it's not, and it's different for everybody. That light goes off and you say, Allison, like, hang on, I don't have to do everything at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, elsewhere on the Seattle Kraken, is it just me, or does Vince Dunn look different this year? Are we seeing, although it's young in his career, are we seeing a renaissance here of Vince Dunn? And the follow-up to that is, considering he's an Ontario guy, is he playing for free tomorrow night? How many tickets?
I feel like when we get to the GTA, there's probably a handful of guys on every team that are playing for free, right? Jared McCann as well. But, people don't, and I understand. I used to live on the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast, you don't follow every West Coast team as closely as you can. But Vince Dunn started last season at not 100%. He didn't have a full preseason. He didn't have a full camp. He does start the season and then he misses 20 games pretty early. So that hampers him last year as it is. But if you look at what he does, and I mentioned this with Lambert's tendencies and what he likes to see systematically, when Vince Dunn is healthy, every year he's been with the Kraken, he's in the top 3 in the league in terms of defenders who complete successful stretch passes. And he is a player that when he's not on the ice, you can see the team geared down if they're not fully healthy, because he is the kind of guy where he certainly is offensively talented, and he's been showing that early here. He has that mindset. But the way he plays makes everyone on the ice better. And I think that he doesn't get enough credit for what he does for this team in particular. And when you look at, again, the combination of a Vince Dunn and when Joey Daccord is in the back end, and then Adam Larsson, who is Vince Dunn's most common partner there on the blue line, you've got the perfect scenario for a nice, quick, fast breakout that then you can feed up to your forwards to start attacking offensively.
I'm curious what we should expect we talk so much about, potential, with the Seattle Kraken. What is right now, as you see it right now, like how good can this team be? We know this is still a team that's, laying brick. How quick do you think they can get there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, it's funny. The Kraken are now, they're 2-0-2. They haven't lost in regulation. And there were some disgruntled fans in my mentions on social yesterday. And I was like, guys, come on. Like, if we had told you this team had 6 points in their first 4 games with this schedule, I think you would have been thrilled. But I get it. And I appreciate the passion. Jason Botterill was honest this offseason. He said this team is not one player away from consistent cup contention, but they need to build. They took some good steps this summer with some pieces they brought in. What I've always wanted is this team, I think if they perform to their capabilities, they don't even need to overachieve. This is a team that is in the playoff conversation right up and until and through March. The first goal for this group is to become a consistent playoff appearance team. They have some injuries. They're dealing with Capo Kakko, who became a huge part of the offense. He's out for October and the first little bit of November. Riker Evans is out on the back end. And then Freddie Gaudreau, who's been just a really wonderful piece to join this roster, was put on IR this morning. So we'll see what the Kraken will do. They've called up John Hayden, who's another great depth forward as well. If they can survive these injuries, and every team's dealing with it, I know I'm not going to get any sympathy from that. Under Lane Lambert's system, they really can be in the conversation if they hold themselves accountable to the standard that they've established.
What should we know about Yanni Newman?
Yanni Newman, what a great story, right? This kid comes over 2 years ago, doesn't speak a lick of English. One of our scouts helps get him from, New York and Toronto and Montreal over into Coachella where he can play a couple games. Plays last year, gets called up to the NHL, scores in his first NHL game. His parents are in the stands. It was awesome. Big body, tremendous bomb of a shot. Needs to work on continuing to get faster with his feet, right? They've got him in a 4th line role right now. And you and I were talking about this offline, but Coach Jessica Campbell told us during one of the intermissions on our broadcast that they've been working with him. He wants to shoot. He wants to take that big shot from the right. He knows that's his weapon. But the coaches want him to also get more comfortable using his body to get net front, because he's so hard to not just push off the puck, to push in general. So they're trying to get him there, and he gets there and he gets a goal. Now, it wasn't a skill play, but he was there, and that's what made the puck go in the net. So we're seeing him round out his game as the team gets healthy. I mentioned some of the injuries. Can he hold on to a spot? We'll see. But the future looks bright for him in this very specific role of what he can be as a player.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question as a Canadian.
Normally,
oh boy, I try to be country neutral on this program. Here we go. I'm going to talk to you as someone from neighboring Canuckistan up here. So I'm going to go back to Berkly Catton. Is there a chance, and we saw this with Shane Wright, that they make him available for the World Juniors?
I mean, there certainly could be, right? I mean, why not? It's ultimately guys need to play. The issue again is guys need to play with a competition level that pushes them forward, that challenges them, that makes them learn all the lessons we were just talking about earlier. About you just don't go and fly 100 miles an hour with your hair on fire. So if that's the right spot for him, I know that this organization highly values what Berkly Catton can do, and they're going to be very thoughtful about where he should be.
Excellent. Alison, you're a delight as always. It's a zoo in Toronto, as you all know, and as you mentioned, a lot of players playing for free. Enjoy everything the city of Toronto has to offer. And may I recommend the Hockey Hall of Fame if you get a chance. Whenever anyone asks me, I'm going to Toronto, what should I do? Go to the Hall of Fame. Go to the Hall of Fame. That's what you should do. Enjoy. We'll chat soon.
All right. And Jeff, you didn't acknowledge. I said, go Mariners.
Oh, how dare you? Where were the Mariners?
Shayna made me.
Did you see the old psycho Max Scherzer on the mound? The crazy psychopath one more time, just cranking it up. Oh,
two-colored eyes. Can't be trusted. Can't be trusted.
It's like Connor Timmins of the Buffalo Sabres. One blue and one brown. Look at you go. Awesome. Alison, you're the best. Thanks so much for this. Go Blue Jays.
You're the best, Jeff. See you soon.
Alison Lukan, God, she's good. Analyst for the Seattle Kraken and a big part of the Too Many Men podcast, which you hear us talking about on a consistent basis around these parts. I have no idea, Zach, how good the Seattle Kraken are going to be this year. To me, like they're a wild card. They're a wild, not like literally a wild card team, but like they're like I just don't know. To me, the ceiling is, can they be a wild card, this team this year, and get back into the playoffs? Health has got to be good. Joey Daccord probably needs to be a candidate for the Vezina Trophy. And early on, so far, so good. You've heard me talk about, I cheer for people. I'm about 40 minutes away from where the Brampton Beast played. And I went and watched a couple of Beast games when Joey Daccord was there, and it really, what it's like. And for some players in the ECHL, you're like, okay, this is last stop, and now it's time to grow up. And I'm just so happy that this guy has not only stuck with it but has thrived. Some of the earliest, I'll tell you something. There was a guy named Jim Rose. So Jim Rose used to run. You should find this. It's really cool. And I used to go see all the shows. They were so much fun. He used to run this psycho
circus.
Getting
a lot of homework.
You got some homework this week. The Jim Rose Circus. Here's what I want you to look up later on. The Jim Rose Circus. Okay? So this was a circus that toured around with Lollapalooza in the early 90s. So Perry Farrell and Nine Inch Nails. And Jim fit right in with all of it. This bizarre psycho circus. And I had a chance to interview him in my first job in radio at The Fan. It was me, Strombo, and Makowitz. And we went out to lunch with him and did a long interview with him. And I sort of pulled him aside to talk to him a little bit, and we were chatting. And he said, "You're just starting your career, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Just so you know, you're going to get to a certain point in your career. Just understand that it's coming." I always share this story with younger broadcasters. It's coming. This point in your career is coming. And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "There's going to come a point in your career where you're going to have to make a choice. Do I quit or work harder? Do I quit or work harder?" And there's no obvious answer. And sometimes the wrong answer is keep going. Sometimes the right answer is quit. It's a harsh one to hear. But he said, you're going to get to that place. And I look at Joey Daccord, and probably when he was playing with Brampton, he was probably at that do I need to quit or do I need to work harder phase of his career. And he stuck with it, and it paid off. And he's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. How do you not cheer for that guy? How are you not happy for that guy, Zach? the Brampton Beast, Seattle
Yeah.
Kraken, one of the top save percentages in the NHL. He's been fantastic. Joey Daccord. We love him.
He looks really good right now.
He's good. Do we have Dave standing by yet? Waiting for Dave to call in?
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do? So why don't I get to this then? We're going to get to Dave Pagnotta, the fourth period, in 2 seconds here. But first, this from the Ninja Crispy.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
All right, I will remind you, meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Just prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA-free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and larger 4-quart Tempware container. Whether you're whipping up quick single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Cleanup is simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. With that, we'll bring on our man who does a number of things around here. I'm surprised they don't hand you a broom at the end of the day and ask you to sweep up, Dave Pagnotta. It's awesome how much you're on the network. I love it, including your own show Wednesdays, 3 o'clock Eastern with Irfan Gaffar, and a really interesting interview with Brian Bartlett as well, who represents, amongst other players, I think he controls like $600 million worth of contracts. Like, think about the responsibility that comes along with that. Alex Tuch, and I want to sort of start the conversation there, and I want to get to Logan Cooley as well, and my theory on what could be happening there in Utah. What do you think's happening with Alex Tuch right now? Like, he's on a team that, despite what we just saw against the Ottawa Senators, is a lot of question marks around. He's a big piece of the team, due a contract extension. So far hasn't signed one. His wife is from Western Canada. He's from New York. I don't know. Like, what's your spidey sense saying on Alex Tuch?
Well, before we had Brian on, I had heard that, they were still going to have back and forth conversations. The door wasn't closed. The conversations were still, or at least both sides were still open to having the conversation, and ultimately both sides still wanting to get something done. And then Brian came on and confirmed that they've actually pressed the pause button for the time being and put negotiations on the back burner to kind of focus on basically what's going on with this team. And this was the day of, just before they got their first W of the season. There's a lot of concern in Buffalo, again, unfortunately. And I think for Alex Tuch, he's interested in staying, and as Brian confirmed, has not closed the door by any stretch on the Sabres. But they need to know what the direction of this team is. That's the sense that I've been getting. And you know what, Jeff? If there's, some markets have a tax. We've talked about this before: the Buffalo tax, the Winnipeg tax, the this, that. Yeah. Well, Buffalo also has the Sabres tax, based on what's going on right now and how long it's been a problem in that market from just the hockey perspective itself. Mm-hmm. So I've got to imagine that yes, especially with other guys that have cashed in, and that you've got less and less guys now that are coming off the list, and less guys, that are available July 1 next summer. He's thinking, if this team isn't going to start trending in the right direction in the very near future, I might as well take my game to July 1 and cash in big time. Like, I've talked to a few teams in the last 24 hours that think it's not just a $10 million AAV for him to stay. You're probably looking at north of 11. And maybe a tiny bit closer to 12.
Listen, the numbers sound staggering, and this is not to insult Alex Tuch at all. It's a brand new world we're walking into with the salary cap, and you were talking to Irf about this the other day about, we think it's 104, but it's probably 107, and the numbers are skinnier than they'll probably end up being on July 1st. But I think a lot of it too, Dave, is we're going to walk into a situation on July 1 where everybody's got, this is the first time in forever, everybody's got money, everybody's got cap space, there's no one to spend it on. Yep. Like, I'm thinking, what's Martin H just going to be? You know, like
right.
what's Alex Tuch gonna be? What's Adrian Kempe gonna be? Like I know like what you're saying may sound like stunning to people, but when you look at big picture and what's on the horizon, I don't think it's stunning at all. To me, it makes sense.
No, I agree. I've been trying to every time I talk about these big numbers, I keep telling everybody, we're trying to remind everybody, get used to these. Like these numbers are going to continue to climb year after year, and with the cap, again, currently projected, and I know Gary Bettman the other day said, wow, we're not even talking about that. Well, officially, you're not, but the projections are there. Yeah. 104 next season, 107, 108, 113 and a half the following season, 118. Yeah. Like these numbers, we're going to be around 120 in no time. And with that equals higher salaries. And look, what's Artemi Panarin thinking right now in New York? Do I want to stay there? Would I take a team-friendly deal? Doesn't sound like it. He has another opportunity to hit July 1 next summer and cash in big time. So for a guy like Alex Tuch, who again, as Brian Bartlett, his agent, reiterated this week, has not closed the door. They've put the talks on hold mainly because of what's going on with the start of their season. But reading the tea leaves in that situation and talking to people around the league, it's going to cost a pretty penny to stay in Buffalo. And they've got a number of things to figure out, including this contract.
They do. And I know Sabres fans always get, and I hear it on social media all the time, like, we're only a couple of games in, you already got everybody bailing on the team. But it's not just a couple of games in. Like we were saying the other day, this is 14 years plus a couple of games in. Like history matters here. That is part of the context. And there's only so long that you can ask elite level athletes to surrender prime years of their career. Like I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable to ask players to go through one rebuild, but when you consider how short careers are, I think it's really unreasonable to ask any player to go through two. And does it not feel like that might be where we're at right now with the Buffalo Sabres?
Yeah, like quasi two. It's like almost three with just how long things have gone there. I feel for those people. I feel for the fan base. It's tough. You've got guys that have been traded, and there was word, Dylan Cousins, when he got moved, there was an unofficial trade request at the start of the season saying, look, this is where we're at. Just, get it going. He wasn't the only one. We know about obviously JJ Peterka not being overly thrilled there as well. There are other players that are frustrated being there with what happened last season. And I've got to imagine those same guys are probably equally frustrated now. Granted, the last game they won was a nice one, and winning does solve a lot of things, but it's deja vu all over again and again. Like they started last year 0-3. They finished up the month 4-5-1. They got back on track, and then it just wasn't sustainable. And that lack of sustainability is what eats at some of these guys. These guys are all competitive. They all want to win. I don't blame them.
You brought up something really interesting there, and that is the JJ Peterka escape from Buffalo to Utah. Not that I'm trying to kick Buffalo when they're down, but so that was the model for if you want out, this is how you do it, and and you can do it. I do wonder in the back of my head whether it is, as you mentioned, Dylan Cousins or JJ Peterka. I always wonder about cascading effect of everything and how much of a cascading effect that goes through the room. It's like, well, you know what? Dylan got out. Well, you know what?
Right.
JJ got out. Why not me? Like that's part of the danger when you move young players who I'm not saying it's like the second they're disgruntled, they get their wish, but there is that sensitivity for managers that if I do it for this guy, then do I have to do it for everybody else that comes into the office and says, I'm done here? You know what I mean, Dave?
I think, and you know what, I think management's had that discussions with some of their guys, like Rasmus Dahlin, like Tage Thompson, like some of the others, Jason Zucker and so on, over the last 12 months or so, being like, listen, this is where we're at. We want to build with you guys and have you guys be the centerpieces. We want you guys taking the reins, and we're going to try to insulate this group and bring in some complementary pieces and some star pieces if we can that make us better with you leading the way. The Peterka thing, I actually like the return that they got. I like that, you bring in Josh Doan, you bring in Kesselring.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
I was all for that. Under the circumstances, given the cards that they were dealt with,
yep,
they got a good return on that. And Dunn
I agree.
contributed. I think he had 2 or 3 assists the other night in that W. Benson got back from injury. He had a few. Yep. Kesselring's been hurt, so you can't see that yet. But this is not a scenario where they just want to give these guys away at this point. Like, it's fine. We'll take this in their consideration, but unless we get a deal that makes us happy,
yeah,
we're not going to do that. I am curious though how much longer this goes with Tuch, and obviously it's going to be based on their season. If by New Year, Olympic break, if they're still in the cellar and he's still not signed, I wonder if they have another little heart-to-heart and then may have to turn around and say, we may now have a choice here. We may have to start exploring the market.
There's another name that doesn't get the headlines that it would otherwise because he's not on the main roster. And for me, there's a ton of questions around. And I wonder what happens if he doesn't get both starts this weekend for Rochester. And that's Devin Levi.
Yeah.
That is one that is under the radar right now, but I don't think I'm not saying that that's like a 5-alarm blaze. It's probably best put maybe like a controlled fire. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but it feels like it does very much sound like there's something there.
Yeah, and so I mean, like some of these guys, and this isn't specific to this, but in certain situations with some of your young players, the ones that are anticipated being next level for you, eventually they're unofficially promised, okay, you're going to get a shot here. You're going to get an opportunity here. You're going to get some. We're going to ride you for a little bit, see how it goes, and if it doesn't work, okay, we'll continue to go through this process with you. I think you're right. I think starting this season, this was kind of where they were at with Devin Levi, and is he going to be able to get that opportunity? There's a reason they brought him in. You want to shore up as many positions as you can, obviously, with the caliber of players you can. You want the offensive guys, you want the two-way guys, you want to bank yourself up the middle, you want to find the shutdown guys on the blue line, the mobile guys, etc., the goaltenders. Every little facet of the game, the physical guys that are two-way, that are sneaky in the corners for your third and fourth line, and so on and so on. I think with Buffalo, with Levi, yeah, you've got you have UPL and he's hurt at the moment, but you've got him that a lot of people within that organization have been high on, and he's sitting here going, okay, I'm going to be patient a little bit more because you've been preaching that, but let's go here.
You know what it is, though, Dave? I don't know that it would be the same if they didn't lay out the red carpet for him in the first place and almost hand him the starting reins. First of all, the list of goaltenders that have gone from college right into the NHL, that list is short, man. Like everybody goes to the American Hockey League. Everybody does their time. Like making a jump to starting goaltender with an NHL team from college is one of the hardest, if not most impossible things you can do. And it was like there were a lot of people in that organization that really wanted that to happen for whatever reason, knowing full well it's not going to happen because you don't make that jump as a goaltender. And the other part about that too is you've you laid out the carpet for Devin Levi, and now you sort of chum the waters that he's the heir apparent, he's the guy coming, and now all of a sudden over him, you're ride or die with Colton Ellis and Alex Lyon. He's saying to himself, and now you send Georgiev down here with me to split games?
You've got to be very careful when you're selling optimism and you're making promises to, first of all, optimism within your organization, to the player that you're bringing in, to the fan base, and then you have to be very careful as what type of official/unofficial promises you make. And I know the selling of optimism is, okay, we're bringing this kid in. He's ready to roll between the pipes. There's going to be some fine tuning, but he's going to be our guy. And it takes a little bit of time. It's a process. And if he is going to be the guy, Jeff, exactly to your point, why are there so many other guys here? Why are there so many other goaltenders that are in this
so
position?
Many goalies in Buffalo now, Dave.
And then
everywhere.
in UPL, when the main guy right now gets healthy, then what? You got like 75 guys. So there's not enough space. Now, so you got to be careful.
Does each team get one net still? Like I didn't watch. I didn't watch all the games last night, but is it still one puck and each team gets one net? Did anything change? Or is it still the same?
No, I don't think so. This isn't ESPN the Ocho with different types of different sports that are out there. A couple different ones. Like they're gonna have some questions that they're gonna have to answer relatively soon.
Yeah.
Not only because of Levi coming in and getting games, but also again when UPL's healthy. What are you doing with all these other guys?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of look at it with Levi and the rush before. It's kind of been the story of the Buffalo Sabres. So many players that were rushed to the NHL, like right away. Like nothing American hockey. Oh, he played a dozen games. He's cracked his knuckles. He's fine. Let's get him to the NHL. To me, that's going to be the story of this era of the Buffalo Sabres. I want to get to Logan Cooley because I think it's a fascinating thing that's happening here with Cooley and the Utah Mammoth. In your conversations in and around the Logan Cooley story, it feels to me like Utah wants to set their upper limit with Logan Cooley. Like this is the guy that no one's going to go past. He's the guy we're doing this around, and this is going to be this number. And when you sort of set that as what you're trying to do, the negotiations tend to get tricky. You know how all of these things work. Does it feel to you like Utah wants to set their upper limit here, their bar with Logan Cooley?
I think, Utah has looked at what the Montreal Canadiens, I think a few teams have, quite frankly, that are looking at what the Canadiens have done with some of their top guys. And not necessarily from a limit perspective, but everyone's going to take a smidge less because we're going to do this together and we're going to keep this unit together for an extended period of time. So, it started with Nick Suzuki, but obviously there's other talent out there. If it climbs over that figure, so be it. Noah Dobson comes in, prime example, 9.5, making considerably more, but he took less as well. Lane Hudson taking less in order to stick around. And in the grand scheme of things, 150, 250 grand, you're saving per year on an AAV, but you get 10 guys doing that. That's a decent amount of cap space to utilize moving forward. I think Utah, in some manner, wants to kind of mimic that in their own form and have certain guys that are going to be at the top. And if the bar is set with a guy like Logan Cooley, whom they anticipate being their primary weapon, and certainly him and his camp believe that he's going to be one of their top guys consistently for years on end, how does that look numbers-wise? And at the same time, do we have to make that type of commitment now versus 4 or 5 years from now? Maybe we do something on the smaller side. And this is kind of one of the things that Brian Bartlett, his agent, was kind of hinting at a little bit. We don't necessarily have to go. I know everybody's signing 8 years. We don't necessarily have to do that. We can go 4 years. Still, the team will still have him under control as an RFA and then move to a 7-year deal after the fact. I've talked to a few teams about this week, about that theory of committing jointly on a long term. The max right now is 8 years, then it's going down to 7. Well, what if we're thinking 11, 12 years down the road? What if we're thinking an 11, 12-year commitment that just gets split up in between? So you're signing a 4 or 5 year deal out of your ELC, and then you're committing to the big one right after because with everything going up, and again, going back to the cap, with the cap going up and expansion talk getting louder, even though they tried to cool it again this week at the board meetings, you add that into the equation. In 5 years from now, what's the salary cap going to be at with all the revenue that's being generated? All good problems to have, but from Brian's perspective, I could see it being, let's take a responsible approach here. Let's go 4 or 5 years potentially, and then get the big one after the fact. So I think that's at least been part of the discussion points to this stage.
I'm glad you brought up expansion, Dave, because the one thing that I firmly believe here is while there's a CBA and the players don't get any piece of expansion whatsoever, if you're the NHL, the time to do it is now. because the Players Association are hands off. The $2 billion entry fee for each team here, and they're not going to touch a piece of it. In the CBA, to me, this is the moment. You got the 4-year CBA. The time to do it is now. Is while this CBA is in effect, so the players have their hands off that money.
I remember when they made the announcement in LA before the draft, the day of the draft. I remember asking that question to the panel. Gary, Bill, and both looked at me at the same time, going, "No, there's been no change in that discussion with respect to the players getting a piece of expansion fee."
Yep.
And the league's been very adamant about that. We're splitting this amongst us. You guys are getting the jobs. But with everything continually going up, and we got 5 more years, maybe that becomes an interesting point of discussion. So I think you're right. And within that time period,
do it.
Counts now. Get on it now. And I've talked to owners. Everyone I've talked to have either said we're going to 36 or we would not be shocked if we hit 36. What that time frame is, I'm not exactly sure anymore, but I do think we're jumping into the stages of expansion. The league has been also pretty open about not caring about symmetry if they need to, which they've done with Seattle and Vegas and whatnot. Look, that's going to keep going. And all of that, while the expansion fee doesn't affect HRR, everything else does. Revenue coming from ticket sales and marketing, sponsorship, merch sales, television deals, so on and so on. You add markets like Atlanta and Houston and jump back into Phoenix properly. U.S. television rights, those are big markets. That's going to go up again.
NHL to 36, PWHL to 12. Massive expansion on the horizon. Dave, excellent work as always. Great to see you all over the network. It's fantastic. Have yourself a great weekend. I know your phone remains on, so there's no sleep until next July. So you can earn, like I do, the Louis Vuittons under our eyes. You be good. We'll talk soon, Dave. I got him too. Don't worry. I got him too. Thanks, pal. Dave Pagnotta, the fourth period, joins us every Friday here on The Sheet. And also DFO Rundown Insiders Edition. Wednesday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Dave Pagnotta alongside Irfan Gaffar. If you haven't watched it or heard it, go back and listen/watch Wednesdays. Brian Bartlett, NHL agent, is Dave and Irf's guest. Really interesting stuff there. Okay. This one's, even though we're only one day into doing this one's already become a favorite of mine on this program. This is like a little flavor puck for your boy Jeffy as he leads into the weekend. Here we go. Crave the Stats. It's a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom and enabling my kids to eat all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Zacharoo, what do we have for Uber Eats today?
Okay, so each day for this, I'll bring a couple different ones, and then we can expand off of one. I think that's the best way to do this here.
Sure.
So for today, let's run through the 3. October 17th in NHL history. 1957, Rocket Richard's first NHL hat trick. He had 3 goals and 3 assists for 6 points against the Toronto Maple Leafs. 1976, Mike Milbury scored his first NHL goal, a game winner in the Bruins' 5-3 win over the Habs. And in 1992, Jari Kurri scores his 500th career NHL goal, and he was the first, make sure you get this, some people remember this, European-trained player to do so. So those are your 3 today. Rocket Richard's first hat trick, Mike Milbury scores his first NHL goal, and Jari Kurri scores 500 on October 17th and today in the NHL.
Henri Richard, who was Rocket Richard's brother, his name was Pocket Rocket. Do you know what their other brother's nickname was?
No.
Vest Pocket Rocket. I am not making this up. Okay, outside of that one, Mike Milbury. A couple of things on Mike. I used to work, when I was at CBC, I was at CBC from 2007 to 2012. Mike was one of the main panelists, him and PJ Stock. I loved working with Mike. Everybody loved working with Mike. Mike was one of the most interesting guys to work with. First of all, humongous frame of reference as a player, as a coach, executive, all of it, manager in the NHL. Really a great teammate. Like, you talk about like teammates in a workplace, or some people you really like working with and support everybody and help everybody. And then there are other people that are just like, oh, okay, party of one over there. That was not Milbury. Those guys find their way out of companies pretty fast, specifically in media. But he was honestly one of the best teammates that any of us ever worked with at Hockey Night at CBC when Mike was there. And when we think of Mike Milbury, specifically as a player with the Boston Bruins, you probably think of the Madison Square Garden incident, where Mike gets a bad rap. Now, you're going to say, how does a guy get a bad rap for going into the stands and taking a guy's shoe off to beat him with it? How's that a bad rap? If you look at the video, Mike doesn't actually hit the guy he takes the shoe off, but he doesn't actually hit the guy. You know who drills the guy? Who just clocks the guy, who has skated on this one for years. And I loved him. He was an awesome, awesome guy. He's unfortunately no longer with us, and everybody misses him. He was a charming human being. He was an excellent broadcaster. He was a really good hockey player. You know who should have got like all the scoring for that one? Peter McNabb. Peter McNabb drops the guy. Now, Mike takes the guy's shoe off to swing at him, but he misses. Peter McNabb's the guy. Are you looking for it right now? Are you trying to find it? The Madison Square Garden incident? It's like McNabb and Milbury go up into the stands. It's like one of the it's like if you're the NHL, you're just like, oh my God, our players are attacking fans. This is just awful. There is a history of this happening in hockey, by the way. Much more at the minor leagues, but like we've had incidents in the NHL where players have gone up into the stands to attack. It happened a lot more in the 70s and a little bit more in the 80s. But did you just find it?
I'm watching it. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I can get this downloaded.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I just watched it.
If you've seen it before, right?
Yeah. But I'm looking for.
But like Peter McNabb is the guy. It's not Mike Milbury. Milbury, by the way, was really good in the Canada Cup '76 as a really young player for an American team, which really tested Team Canada as well. As much as Team Canada thought like they were the kings of the jungle, and they ended up winning the whole thing. USA gave them a real go on things. Trying to filibuster here while you queue up the video. If you can't, that's fine.
I can't get it in. I can't get it. It won't
move along. But
from where it happened. Anyway,
I just wanted to point out just how great a teammate Mike was. And I remember Mike once telling me in one of our mini nights out after Hockey Night, telling me that when he ran the Islanders, he offered the St. Louis Blues every single New York Islanders pick to the St. Louis Blues for their first-round pick. And he wouldn't tell me who it was. I just always assumed it was Erik Johnson. It was that first overall pick that the Islanders offered every single pick in the draft to get that. That's been offered before. Minnesota offered that to Lou Nanne would have offered that to Eddie Johnson for the Mario Lemieux pick. But I always found that interesting. It was just like, I ain't going to tell you who it is, but we offered St. Louis every single pick once, and they said no. I think it was Erik Johnson. Anyhow, there's that story.
I want to see that one time because I want to see that on a graphic card selfishly. Like at the draft, 20 minutes before the draft or whenever it comes out, it's like, the Islanders have traded the first overall pick for.
Yeah. You know what that is?
You
know what that is?
30 pages.
That's an OHL trade.
Exactly, but I want to see it in the NHL.
So there was, I'm not going to see who the manager was, but there was one manager who pulled off one of those, I'm sure you've seen them before, legendary OHL trades, where they trade a player for like 1 million second-round picks and third-round picks and fourth-round picks, and it just goes like on and on and on for years and years and years and years. And this one manager called me after one day where he executed one of these like massive deals. He goes, my wife just gave me shit. And I go, why? She says, I saw what you did today at work with that stupid trade. She goes, you realize you just traded a 9-year-old. Like, I never thought about it like that. But somewhere, that kid who's going to be that pick right now is 9. And he doesn't know it, but he just got traded. You just traded a 9-year-old.
It's a pretty funny way of looking at it. Yep.
Like, I never really thought about it that way. I guess I kind of just did trade a 9-year-old anyhow. I'm really liking that Uber Eats feature. That's really good. It gives me a chance to stretch out the history too. All right. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Home in the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. What do we got on the board today? 4 games around the NHL, 11 last night, 4 games on the go tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow we get at it early in the afternoon with the Buffalo Sabres welcoming in a pretty pissed off bunch of Florida Panthers who have dropped 3 games in a row and are not in a good mood. Anyhow, what are you looking at tonight? What's spicing your chili? Detroit's good, hey? Eisman versus OT.
Yeah, it's the Tampa Red Wings game is the one that's really got my attention for this one tonight. Otherwise, looking out towards San Jose and Utah. This Utah team, I know we just did a whole lot of discussion with about them.
Dave.
With Dave there and Cooley and setting the internal cap and stuff. But
I think so.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch right now. And go ahead.
Can I ask you something about Utah?
Yeah.
When you see Ryan Smith, let's just say you work for the Utah Mammoth right now.
Okay.
And you see Ryan Smith sitting on the glass. Okay?
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this one. You see Ryan Smith sitting on the glass. And listen, when you pay that much money for an organization, you're the boss. You do what you want. Do you think that there's anybody in the Utah Mammoth organization who would have the stones to go to Ryan Smith, owner of the Utah Mammoth, and say, don't be a glass banger? Would you do that? Hey, boss, knock it off with the glass banging.
Well, I mean, I will say this. Okay, so let's just go with like a general no, but I also don't know what type of person he is. He kind of gives me the impression that he would be the kind of guy who would be more receptive to it. Like if I was in Toronto and it was like, who even is the
Ed Rogers?
Like Ed Rogers.
Hey, Ed Rogers. Don't be a glass banger.
I'm staying so far away. Yes, Mr. Rogers, bang the glass if you want, Mr. Rogers.
Go ahead. All you want. We can replace the glass. Hit as hard as you can. Bring a hammer.
Do whatever you want. Yeah, like I don't care. Ryan Smith gives like a little bit more chill vibes, maybe is the best way to say it. So it would probably be like, hey, like maybe let's not do that. And I think he'd probably be a little more receptive to it than
in most situations like that, that might be referred to as a CLM. You know what a CLM is in the industry? A lot of industry talk today. You know what a CLM is?
No. What is this one?
Career limiting move.
Yes.
Career limiting. Hey, boss, don't be a glass banger.
Yeah.
I just want to be there to hear someone say it. That's all.
The photo, I'm sure you saw it, of Peterka celebrating and him pointing at Peterka. That was awesome. I really liked that.
Fantastic. And JJ saying, thanks for the money.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing me here.
Thanks for the money.
Thank you for paying me.
The money's great, really. Thanks, boss. Thanks for the money. And as we like to say around here, thanks for the buns and the use of the hall. Wrapping up another show. What do you got planned this weekend, Zacharoo?
We have to do got a lot of family stuff going on this weekend here still, and then Leafs game tomorrow night against the Seattle Kraken, as actually we talked about off the top of the show with Alison.
What do we still have to
do? We have to play something. It would be a disgrace to the nature of the show if we didn't play this video, Jeff.
What do we got?
I'm just gonna play the video, no commentary.
All right.
And then we'll see.
We didn't do it. All right, let's find out.
It would be to this show. It would be.
Oh boy.
After review of the call on the ice stands, we have a goal. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hang on.
Excuse me. After review, there is no goal. Florida will be charged a bench minor penalty for delay of game.
And that's.
So, can you do me a favor?
You understand why we had to play that?
Oh, it's fantastic. First of all, that's Michael Markovic. Okay, so Michael Markovic is a Toronto-based official, one of the newer officials in the NHL. Here's what I love. Play it one more time. Tell me what you think I love about it.
Okay.
After review,
No, I know what you love about it.
We have a goal. Oh, sorry.
That's it right there. We have a goal.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
After review,
Yeah.
there is
Yes.
no.
He made the right
I
call.
knew it.
It was the wrong call, but he called the wrong call correctly. We have a
Yes,
goal.
I knew it.
Yes. Yes. So I will look the other way on, I guess, the bigger point, because he made the right point, which is we have a goal. Not a good goal.
Yes.
We have a goal.
I know. The first thing I noticed. First thing I
really,
noticed
eh?
when he said it. I knew it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
That was
don't
this
like-
was a two-banger. We went out of here on a Friday, and I was doing everything I could to make sure that we got you out of here. We're on a happy note to finish the
That's a
week.
great
smile
note.
and laugh, and we're good. We got the goal. Not good goal. Goal.
No, goal.
And I appreciated the. Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Whoa,
Oh,
hang on a
sorry.
second here. Whoop, hang on. Woo.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Markovic.
And Paul
attaboy.
Maurice's face. Just he's got a smirk, and he's just like, "Come on."
You know what Paul's thinking? Just when you think you've seen it all. Because Paul, at this point in his career,
Yeah.
has probably seen it all. He's like, ooh, there's
Yeah.
something new. There's something
Yeah.
new. Which is why I always remind people, at the end of every day, it's your job to stay alive. And if you stay alive, you'll see some really interesting shit. And that was one of them. Great. Whoa, hang on a second. But Markovic, like, honestly, you made the right call. You made the wrong call, but you called it the right way. That's what I would say. You made the wrong call, but you called it the right way. Did I say that right? You made the wrong call, but you
Yes.
made it the right way.
Yes.
That does fill me with some glee as we exit
I
for
knew
the
it.
week. Monday, by the way, this program will be in Washington. I'm going to go to the Washington-Vancouver game on Sunday afternoon, and then we'll be doing this program from the practice facility, I believe, in Washington on Monday. Guests will be announced over the weekend, but it should be a good one. So look forward to that. And next Friday, as I'm doing a lot of traveling this year, next Friday, I don't know if I told you this, Zach. Next Friday, I'll be in Rochester. So we'll be doing the show from Rochester, home of the Americans.
I did not know that.
Yeah, kids hockey tournament. I'll take the podcast equipment, do the show from there in the afternoon. It'll be a lot of fun. So a couple of things like one show from Washington, one show from Rochester. There we go. That's the schedule next week. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Hope your weekend is full of hockey, either as a hockey parent, either a hockey player, or just watching hockey, ironing the couch with your ass. I don't know, whatever it is. Hope it involves frozen water and a round black puck. Enjoy yourself. Tip your Zamboni driver. We'll talk to you Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern, for the sheet. Jeff Marek along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.